Welcome.
Welcome back, or just welcome. This is the second book now that we're reading in the Crystal Shard Legend of Drizzt trilogy. But
Icewind Dale trilogy.
Okay, stop it right there. Cut that out. So I don't know if this is just where you're joining us, or should we do a little start over right there?
What?
Should we do a start over?
Screw it, do it live. Okay. My name is Mike. If this is your first time joining us,
welcome. Hello. We're so glad to have you here. We are reading... I'm Olive. Hi. Hi, I'm Olive. Welcome.
What a perfect start.
We've said this before, and I'll just say it again. We're starting a new book, so a little repetition won't hurt anybody. We're not professionals. We are not literary critics. We do our best, so, as you can tell. So just,
Yeah. Some of you guys might like some of these books, not all of them. So, it's a bit of a refresher since we're starting a new one. This might be some people's favorite book, so they might just skip the Crystal Shard. We've decided to change our format just a little bit.
Yeah, change our pace up a bit.
Yeah, we
quicken up the pace.
Yeah, well what made the biggest problem that we've had with the Crystal Shard is that the reading is the easy part. Carving out the time to record these things is the hard part.
Absolutely.
So if we can read more in between the sessions, then at least we can offer you guys a bit more content in between. Because if you're waiting for each episode once a month, then
it's a lot.
It's a lot to wait just to get 2 or 3.
Honestly, how long did it take us to read the Crystal Shard?
6 months. 6 months for the Crystal Shard, because every month we're reading just a couple chapters.
Yeah.
That's just not cutting the mustard anymore.
Maybe.
It's going to take forever for us to finish. So
what we're doing is we're reading the book in parts. So this is for Streams of Silver, part 1. So ideally, we'll be able to read bigger chunks of the book. And, most books are split into 3 parts anyway. So
yeah,
we decided
to go. I don't know if you can see it, but author has actually done the work for us. So we're
and then that means 3 videos per book instead of maybe, how many videos were in the last one? 15?
7. Yeah, 7 videos for the first one. Some of them are split into 4, I think. Some are 3, but for the most part, that should be
it makes
a
more
better
sense.
pace. Yeah.
Okay, we're learning as we go. So, welcome. Hi, Mike and Olive. And we are reading, this book may be a little misleading because this has all 3 books of the Icewind Dale trilogy.
This is the one we're actually reading now. Streams of Silver.
Streams of Silver.
I tried to. This isn't the same edition as the Crystal Shard that I have, so the character art might be a little bit different and the font and everything, but it's nice. This one had a few differences. As I was reading the audiobook, there was a few things that were in the audiobook that were not in here, which we'll get to. Mm-hmm. I think you have it in your book, but
I had it in mine, which was, we've got a prelude. We also have, I don't know what I would call it, Drizzt's diary entry.
Yeah, that's the part
which wasn't a chapter, but it was. It's
just
almost named like a chapter, but it wasn't. Was that in your audiobook?
That was in the audiobook, but it wasn't in the book. And when because I listened to the audiobook as I'm reading, and then as I started to read, the audiobook was different. And I'm like, hang on. And so I just, I had to put the book down and listen and then pick it up.
I had an older audiobook that was on YouTube. It's not available on YouTube anymore. And mine didn't have Drizzt's diary entry, but my book did. Mine was a lady narrator.
Wow.
So it was kind of surprising, I guess, but luckily I had the book.
The opposite. Like, you should be having this book and I should be taking that one. So
but then we try to talk about it and then we'd be very confused. I'd be like, what are you talking about? What diary? So, okay, do you want to just dive right in?
Yeah, we better, because since we're covering a bigger section, we're going to have to go through it a bit faster.
Got a lot to talk about. Okay.
So, Streams of Silver. Book 2 of the Icewind Dale trilogy. Mm-hmm. First of all, just as a general note, I'm liking this even a little bit more than Crystal Shard. It is really good.
Oh yeah, we've got Crystal Shard was a bit more of an introduction So a little bit slower. Right now, we just dive right in. Even though the author does kind of freshen up our memories with each character and a little bit of their backstory, we kind of just go off on their adventure versus Crystal Shard where we get the whole background.
Right. And I remember, this is interesting because I remember a few weeks ago, the two of us, we went and saw the new Dune movie, and you told me you usually like intros better because of all the world building.
Yes, typically.
But
first Harry Potter book, first Dune book.
But I mean, the thing is,
what else?
We're not really done with the world building. So it's not even like, it doesn't even really feel like a part 2. It just feels like a part 2 of the first part. Like, this is really part 1.
The whole thing.
Yeah, the whole trilogy is part 1.
I could see that.
And then it kind of goes. So it's like,
because we're exploring so much of the map.
This is season 1. This is episode 2, season 1. Yeah, so we're still, it's still. Anyway.
I definitely agree with you though. It's more fun.
Yeah. Prelude. It starts off by introducing us to Shimmer Gloom.
Who is a dragon, a worm with a Y, not an O. And that I wasn't expecting because we had just met, going back to Crystal Shard, one other dragon called Icing Death, and it was just a blip in the story. Just really not much. Yeah,
just a couple chapters
to it. And so I wasn't expecting dragons to be a part of the series. And bam, first page, dragon. Beautiful, shiny black dragon. Yeah, it's sitting on a mountain of treasure, just gathering its strength with its little minions running around. And I'm very excited to see this.
I like the way it was described too. It wasn't just shiny, it was iridescent.
I just think of like an oil spill over water.
Yeah, exactly. So it's still like black, but it's like kind of, like colors, when you look at a window that's like
purples and reds.
Yeah, kind of like mirror type of
very
thing.
Pretty.
Yeah.
I'd be the one that's like, "Ooh, you want to be my friend? You're so pretty." And then it bites and eats me.
Yeah. So the fact that it's in the prelude means a lot more.
That's the setup.
Yeah, because like in the Crystal Shard, it opens up with Ertu in the prelude, who happened to play a big part of the story. So maybe Shimmer Gloom is going to be important.
Jumping a little forward, I'll tell you right now, in part 1, we don't get to see anything of Shimmer Gloom.
Yeah, still.
So that was the prelude. We just finished part 1, and we haven't come back around to it. So here's to hoping part 2, part 3 will interact with Shimmer Gloom. Okay, so we have the prelude, and then Drit's diary entry, which was just, I don't know, just a little insight in his personality. He's very sentimental. He's talking about, how a world without dragons, so tying back into the prelude, a world without dragons is not a world that he would want to live in. A world without dragons would be like a world without magic. He said something else.
He specifically, I think the way he phrased it was like,
magic is love.
Well, he said like he wasn't sure if magic exists because of dragons or dragons exist because of magic.
And nobody knows how dragons were made.
Yeah.
So as many stories as you might hear by each, race, no actual group knows how dragons came to be. And he's just like, well, just, as part of the creation of the world, so dragons came. But I don't know. We'll see. Just the existence of the world and time and magic goes hand in hand with the existence of dragons.
Yeah. So. Now, getting on to the actual meat of the story. First chapter is a dagger at their backs, referring to Artemis and Trary, which...
Yeah, and a dagger in Regis's back, not in anybody else's, by the way. They're all off on an adventure and Regis is running for his life. So everybody else thinks they're in for a good time finding Mithril Hall, which is Brunor's like homeland, I guess.
Right.
But he doesn't really know where it is. And, Wolfgar's along because he looks up to Wolfgar. He was his mentor. Dritz is along because, Brunor is his best friend.
Because Brunor tricked him.
Yes. That's true. Going back to Crystal Shard.
Yeah.
On his deathbed, and I'll say that in air quotes because Brunor was fully faking, He makes...
Will you come with me? Yes. Aha!
Yeah, he makes Dritz promise to go on an adventure to find Mithril Hall. And he specifically sets the time, next spring, right? So not, like, I just appreciate that Bruenor didn't leave it out in the open to make him agree to say, yes, I'll go with you to find Mithril Hall. He makes him say, yes, we'll go next spring when you feel better, because you're not dying. I refuse to let you die. We'll go next spring. And then Brunor's like, you're right, I'm not dying. We're going. So,
this
love
bit,
that.
Bit of a diversion, but there was a story. I can't remember this person's name, but there was once this criminal who, this dude.
Is this real life?
This is a true story.
Okay.
I don't remember the people's names or anything, but these two guys got into a bar fight over the correct pronunciation of Newfoundland, which is the correct pronunciation of the Canadian city.
Okay.
They got into a fight. One guy killed the other man. He went on the run.
Okay.
And then years later, decades later, he was on his deathbed and he felt so guilty. And so he confessed to the murder and then recovered and had to go on the run again.
Shut up.
Yeah. I can't, I'll have to like look it up or something, but that's a true story. Imagine that.
Wild. And you're saying that someone died over an argument on the pronunciation of Newfoundland?
Yeah.
I just want to hear, how does a local say it? And I'll trust that pronunciation. Because I know how it's spelled. And I've seen some Canadian shows where I feel like it's been said. But I don't know.
Is it French Canadian or I don't even... Anyway.
Oh boy. Okay. Yeah. I have no stance.
Yeah. But anyway,
oh my gosh, that's crazy. Okay.
Right? But yeah, so Artemis Entreri, he's...
okay, back to the book.
Yeah. Artemis Entreri, we get introduced to him. It's a him, by the way. At first, I thought it might have been a she. Because Artemis
We're Greek, just so you know. So when we hear the name Artemis, we think of the goddess, female, Artemis. So no, it actually took me a second to understand that it was a guy.
Yeah, it's a guy. Assassin, tracker, detective.
He's terrifying.
Yeah.
Psychopath.
Yeah.
Dead, like shark eyes. Dead, soulless
Yeah,
eyes.
sort of like this. Well, I don't want to call it zombie eyes, but maybe kind of like that.
Probably, yeah. Like there's nothing. The lights are on, but no one's home. It's just like.
Yeah, and I remember he. You know what? What I'm thinking of actually. I have this image of like in Harry Potter when someone's under the curse, the Imperious curse.
Oh yeah.
When they
and
get the white eyes.
Go like flat.
Yeah.
They just make like this flat expression. Yeah.
So anyway, he's in 10 towns looking for Regis, and he comes up.
Oh, remember that dagger at Regis's back? That's Artemis.
Yeah, that's Artemis. He goes to his house looking for him. He's sort of, looking around, and then Canterbury shows up, and he's sort of like spying on her and I can't remember, Cassius.
Oh yeah, he was like behind the curtain or something, wasn't it? Something like ridiculous. Like,
yeah, well it was like he's kind of behind the curtain,
playing hide and seek as a kid. Where, like, you go behind the curtain and you think you're really well hidden, but your feet are sticking out. You're like, no one can see me. But, like, yes, we can.
When in movies, like, when there's someone, like, hiding behind a curtain, and then the bad guy is looking for them, and then he sees the curtain waving, and then you think he's going to find them, and then when he pulls the curtain, he's not there anymore.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I pictured.
Okay.
But, yeah, so Artemis...
It's like the wind.
Sees Canterbury. He says... Beautiful women were a rarity in this remote setting.
Oh yeah.
And so he's like, but she was.
So at least we get a little note on, how appealing Canterbury is, because we know she's pretty.
Well, yeah.
But it's kind of creepier coming from a murderer.
Well, here's the thing. But also, Canterbury said that he would have been handsome if it weren't for the soulless eyes.
Gray eyes. Yeah. That's where I got the shark eyes from.
Yeah. But this is my
description.
This is like, I know this might be wrong. I don't care, but part of me is like, even though they're like enemies.
No, we're not doing a redemption here.
I'm not talking. Well, not necessarily a redemption, but like sort of like, almost like the sort of bad boy type of like irresistibility. You know what I was thinking was.
Is he wearing a leather jacket, Mike?
Well, I mean, okay, he's a great fighter and everything, and the word handsome is clearly used in the book. She's, from Canterbury's perspective, called him handsome. But what I was thinking of...
She lives with dwarves. She's a human girl living in a cave with dwarves her whole life.
All she sees
is like a lean, strong, lethal killer. And she's like, oh, wow, like, he's fit. Too bad, he's out to kill me.
Well, yeah, but what I was imagining was, you've seen Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon?
A while ago.
Yeah. Well, anyway, like, someone gets, kind of like how it happens here. Like, she gets kidnapped.
Stockholm Syndrome?
Well, kind of, but it's like at some point it's like they're like, let me go, and they're fighting, and then all of a sudden
they kiss.
Yeah, and all of a sudden it's like instead of fighting, they're ripping each other's clothes off and stuff like that. Maybe that's just like I've seen too many movies where that kind of stuff happens. It would be kind of cliche if it did, but
it'd be a stretch because then we're just talking.
But there's always a love triangle, isn't there?
Oh, because of Wolfgar.
Yeah. There's always...
He's already killed like 4 people, like 4 dwarves.
Yeah, but I mean...
But he's redeemable? Okay.
I'm not saying he's redeemable. Okay. I'm just saying he's still... he's got that bad boy sort of vibe.
I hope she is not so bedazzled by the looks to forget the fact that in front of her, he killed people that she knows. She knows those dwarves that he killed.
Yeah.
Like, fully knows them in the neighborhood. Like, we live in the same community. And you're dying heinously in front of my eyes. But, yeah, you've got a chiseled jaw, so... Yeah.
Plus, he slapped her around a few times. Matter of fact, just in the first chapter, I counted 3 slaps. 2 of them were backhands.
The knuckles.
Yeah, call him Sir Slaps a lot.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see it. But we'll see where the author takes this, because I don't see that as being forgivable. But
well, okay. Here's the thing. Maybe I'm just comparing him to Eckhart Kessel too much, because like as the bad guy, I like Artemis way more than Eckhart Kessel. Eckhart Kessel is just
a
the
doofus.
guy. Yeah, he's a doofus. He's the guy I love to hate. This guy, I just love him, because he's actually competent.
I like watching him. Like in the story, when he comes up in the story. He is just so efficient.
Yeah, he's good at his job.
And he's so smart, like with the way he snuck... This is going forward, with the way that he snuck into the camp. And then he freaking... Well, we're skipping ahead now.
Yeah.
But,
by the way, if you're new, we do this a lot. We don't go in order.
We don't talk in a straight line. We'll talk in whatever this is. It's not a circle, but it's like... A spring.
Like an infinity symbol, but scooted off.
Anyway, I'll just say it. So when he kills I guess it's another dwarf that's with them in the caravan, but he replaces the sword with her sword.
Oh yeah, so that it looks like she did
it. So anyway, I'm just like, oh, this is like a killer, like a deft killer. Which, by the way, she also compares his movements in the first chapter to Dritz. So now I hope that's like Chekhov's...
Chekhov's gun?
Well, in the way that like Future Face Off.
Yeah.
Because she makes a comparison with Dritz, we're going to see the 2 of them.
Well, it's not even like she's specifically comparing them. It's almost as if...
The swordsmanship.
The way I saw it wasn't necessarily that their fighting style was similar. It's just that he was the only one that could match Drizzt in terms of fighting abilities.
I think it was just like the efficiency of the movements, the grace, the lethalness, like of the person. I think
the grace,
again too, he's like lean and Dritzt. The way he's described to me, he just seems like just lean corded muscle, not Wolfgar that's bulky. Muscle, not Brunor that's just stocky.
Yeah, stocky, the bulldog breed.
Yeah, and then Regis that's just a skinny guy with a big old pot belly. You know? No, so Dritz is the only one that has that like lean corded muscle type of image in my mind besides Artemis.
Right.
So I'm hoping for a little face off, little skill versus skill.
Personally, I don't see this guy well, I don't know about the face-off. Well, maybe there would be, but I see this guy continuing on for many books.
Ooh, I hope so.
I don't think Like with Hakkar Kessler, I'm like, this guy is
because he's top tier killer.
He's he's way more competent. He's better at his job. He's a more like his character has longevity. There's a lot that you can do throughout the course of many books with this character.
Well, also we know a little bit about Regis, but not much. But what we do know is that he was part of Pasha Pook's Thieves Guild, right? They have their own guild. And so we had just that little tiny piece of information in Crystal Shard. Now we have the assassin from Pasha Pook's Thieves Guild going after Regis. So I'm hoping that, as you said, that kind of storyline will continue to expand. It started as like a little sentence of information in the book 1. Now we actually have a character from the Thieves Guild, and then I hope it'll just get...
We'll get to see the rest of the guild at some point, maybe.
I would love that. I would love to meet Pasha Pook. With a name like that, Pasha Pook, like he's going to mean business. So, okay.
Yeah.
So that's basically chapter 1. Sorry. Canterbury, Artemis, Entrary. That's the full name.
Yeah, all that stuff. Now, next up, City of Sails.
Oh, Luskin, a.k.a.
City of Compton.
Close enough. Yeah, it sounds really rough in Luskin, let me tell you.
Well, it's a foggy place. Like, you literally walk and there's fog all over the place.
It's not my favorite, yeah. It's very dreary. It's like a big city. It's like 15,000 people, whatever. Something like that. 10, 15. So it's a big city. It's foggy. It's slimy, oily. I just picture it being kind of like a greasy stone town.
Yeah, with like cobblestone roads with like just puddles and...
of unidentified liquids.
Okay, I was gonna say rainwater, but sure, I'm sure some of
mixed in. It just seems real grimy, and so the group now we've got Brunor, we've got Wolfgar, Dritz, and Regis. They approach Luskin at the gate. They get stopped by a night watchman and another security person called Jirdan. He's the only one whose name we get. So Jirdan, we get his name, and I knew that kind of would mean, I should kind of jot this down.
Out of all the bouncers, he gets a name, so...
And he recognizes them. He knows a little bit about their story. So he's like, oh, you're the halfling that we heard about? Oh, yes, barbarian. I've heard of you too. I've been told the tale of whatever. Yeah. So...
Regis kind of uses that to get in, kind of like when you're in a club and you're like,
oh, I'm semi-famous.
Yeah, like have you seen that one show on Netflix a couple of years ago? Well, I played the dude.
Extra.
I played the extra. Do you remember me? Can you please let me in?
Which totally fits Regis's character,
By the way, another true story. Do you remember years ago when we were in Greece, we tried to get into this bar? It was me, you, and a friend of yours, and
what bar?
The Santorini.
Okay.
We tried to get in. The two of you were like dressed, pretty decently.
Were you wearing sneakers or something?
No, I was wearing like sweatpants.
And they wouldn't let you in, right?
They didn't want to let me in.
Because you were too casual.
Because I was too casual, and I was like, but I don't really wear...
And he didn't like jeans at the time.
Yeah,
Is that a little TMI? Because at the time, like, I remember you had either nice pants or it'd be something comfortable. But I would never see you in jeans. And I remember you just told me, like, I don't like them.
I don't
and I was like, okay, he doesn't like them. But it was either dress pants I would ever see Mike in, or sweats or shorts or something. But they told him, like, no,
He's
you
like,
cannot
oh, no,
come in. You're too
can't
casual.
come in. Like, what, with that? And I'm like, come on. It's like...
And it's summer, so I know he doesn't have, like, any other change of pants, nice pants for this location. What happened?
Well, at the end, he ended letting me in because I was with the two of you. It was like, okay, fine. You got two girls with you.
It was with Jen?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yes.
Yeah. And we finally got in, and yeah.
Oh, yeah. I remember the sweatpants, but I couldn't remember who we were with, which year that was. But that was a great time. Yeah. We had a great time. But yes, of course, it's peak summer tourist season. You've got two girls that are just ready to drink and dance. And we're bringing, our friend along. Like, you got to let him in. There's no way. Yeah. We are ready to have some fun. So,
the funny thing was, the very next day, you decided to go out again. I decided to stay home. And I went to bed. And then when you guys finally came back, you woke me up because you said I was dressed in my nice clothes when I was asleep, which was ironic because I wasn't dressed up to go out for a club, but when I was asleep I was all dressed up.
Are you serious?
Yeah, you woke me up and I'm like, Michael, why are you sleeping in your like collared shirt and whatever? I'm like, I don't know, I was wearing it and then I just went to bed. Yeah.
Michael. Okay. Well, it's funny because you are the third person I've ever had that issue with guys, because with girls, I mean, first of all, we like to dress up most of the time anyway. Yeah. But I've had one guy friend get declined from entering a club because he had holes in his pants. So we're like in the middle of like Manila trying to find a freaking street vendor to buy him some pants because, it was like a very fancy place. So we were very excited to go. And then the other time it was somebody's shoes. Like the bouncer actually looked at their shoes. This was not even that far from here. I won't say what place. But no, they didn't like their shoes. So anyway.
Yeah, well, that actually brings us to the next point, which
Back
is...
to the book, okay.
Well, yeah, because they end up going into this club/tavern place. The Cutlass. Which
I thought it was a boat. The cutlass is a sword.
Yeah, it's a sword, I guess. I've never heard of cutlass. I just thought it was a name. Yeah, and I'm like, the cutlass. That's just the name of the tavern. And she's like, no, it's something. So we Googled it. But yeah, so there's this tavern, and they go in and get into this. Excuse me.
It's just Regis and Wolfgar. Well,
they go in at first.
They all go in,
and they're like, you guys stay here.
Regis and Wolfgar get dropped off.
Yeah. We'll go and
Dritz and Bruner have
business.
some business to take care of, which is
meeting up with this woman called Whisper.
Window.
Not Window. Window.
That's what I had been calling her.
Whisper.
Yeah, that's what I've been calling her. Window. No, Whisper for the map to Mithril Hall. Well, for a map.
Mm. Now, okay, this is something before we started recording, we got to this. This is some controversy, but it's complicated, but I'm going to explain it. So, Guinevere actually is female. Now, there was a discrepancy between the book and the audiobook. When I was reading it, what it said, it used it. It used a gender neutral pronoun here, but in the audiobook, it said she. So I was like, so what's the issue? Because
my book had it also.
So...
Because this has been some debate since
there's been some debate. So the idea is that because Salvatore always intended for her to be female, but because he's using Dungeons and Dragons rules and Dungeons and Dragons rules, anything that you use as an item to aid you in battle is supposed to be by definition gender neutral, because Drizzt is using Guinevere. It's like as like an item, like the little statue, and it's like a power up.
Okay.
So it's going by D&D rules. So even though she is a female, by publication it had to be published as gender neutral. So the editors assumed when he submitted his gender neutral manuscript, assumed that it was male, and so misprinted it as he. In certain editions.
I'm sorry, who? Who did you say?
Okay.
No, just this last bit. I was thinking.
R.A. Salvatore.
Who did you say printed it as a he? The editor or the publisher?
No. So, R.A. Salvatore knew the rule about having to submit it as a gender neutral. Okay. So in his manuscript, he wrote it as it.
Okay.
And so when he submitted it to the publishers, they just assumed it was a he. And so, for the most part, they kept it with it, but occasionally they misprinted.
There was one he.
There was like
in
one
Crystal Shard.
Yeah, so there was a he in certain editions, right?
Oh.
But subsequently, he's made it sure when he's answering fan mail and everything, like, no, she is female, it's just a mistake. So Guinevere is a she.
And just now you said in your audiobook the pronoun she is used?
I can't remember which one was which, but there was a discrepancy. I think in the audiobook it said
she. My audiobook, the very older one with the female narrator, used the word it. I don't know. And then that one got removed off of YouTube, so I'm listening to another audiobook with a male narrator. But I haven't gone back to see what pronoun they use. I just made a mental note to say, I just made a mental note of, they used the word it, so we didn't get any confirmation on the gender of Guinevere.
Yeah, for the most part, I think it's just going to say it.
Okay.
But according to him, like straight out of the horse's mouth, it's a she. So even if you read a he, it's probably going to be wrong.
Okay. Well, hopefully that was just in Crystal Shard. Yeah. So it's either going to be it or she. Mm. Wait. When was Dungeons and Dragons created? Was it before these books?
Oh, for sure.
Oh, I thought these were the inspiration.
No.
For Dungeons and Dragons.
No. He was already writing within the construct, the rules of. I think D&D was like all the way back in the early 80s. Let us know if you know. We don't.
Well,
I mean, we could Google it, but
I'll Google it later. And try
you
to
and I both
spiders.
know that we're not. As soon as we turn this thing off, we're gonna forget about it, and it's not gonna happen.
I'm like a pro Googler, so okay. Where were we? Oh, the Cutlass.
Yeah, the Cutlass.
Okay.
Wulfgar and Regis stay in the Cutlass while Drizzt and Bruenor go out to find the map
to meet Whisper.
Right. While they're meeting Whisper, Regis and Wulfgar get into this epic bar fight type of straight out of a Western.
I would only hope that this will eventually be made into a movie to see that fight scene.
To see that part.
Because Wulfgar just goes off. And, Regis is a halfling, so he's not physically imposing. So he's just kind of off to the side. He's just kind of
staying underneath the table.
Hey, Wulfgar, maybe you should calm down a little bit, But Wulfgar is just going off. And the funniest part to me was when he hoists someone, he knocks their head through the ceiling, and they just dangle from the back of their head.
I forgot about that.
And they're just dangling, flailing, and then there's still a fight going on, but there's just one person with their head stuck in the ceiling. And I think what a mental image. It was, it was just so fun to read the fight scene because it's just your typical bar fight, roadhouse type of type thing. So
and it's not even we're getting anywhere in the plot with this bar fight. It's just a fight. It's not
it's
important
just to say
people got killed
that they can't stay there anymore.
Yeah,
that's all that it is. They get in a bar fight, then.
But one important thing was that Jirdan from earlier was in the Cutlass watching. He was the only one not taking part.
Yeah. So I feel that was kind of that was a little bit of a surprise for me because I thought either he would get involved or we wouldn't see him that soon. So
how can you avoid it?
How can you avoid it?
Someone's gonna throw a punch, right?
Everybody apparently was fighting that day. But Jirdan is just kind of off to the corner, basically just watching everything unfold. So at the time, I didn't think too much of it. I was just oh, that's kind of weird. Why is he not getting involved or what's his deal? And then we come to find out, it might be too soon to jump to the next chapter. But we find out what Jirdan's kind of deal is. But okay, first, the fight happens. First of all, the first fight happens at the Cutlass with Wulfgar. And then there's another fight going on simultaneously on the other side of town with Drizzt and Bruenor and freaking Whisper. So she's I don't even know who she was described as, but she's the person that can get you anything you want type, And so the two guys, Bruenor and Drizzt, are on edge. They're meeting Whisper. She's kind of a shady character. And they go to exchange the cash for the map or the gems for the map.
They make a deal, but then when she gets the map, by the time she gets back, she's already found out how much it's worth.
Yeah.
So she raises the price.
And like, I think Dritz has like the inkling feeling like she's not alone. She's got her little like posse, like out in the windows of the of the buildings surrounding them. And so basically Dritz freaking throws a huge shadow around him and Brunor. Brunor headbutts
Whisper in the face.
Right in the face. Freaking gushes blood.
Drops a little purse of
the agreed
price.
Yes.
Not to rob her or anything. Just like, hey, what a deal's a deal.
He literally says, as we agreed. And he like tosses the coins on her as she's like trying to control the broken nose. And then, there's like some arrows that come shooting in. So they were right that she wasn't alone. Some arrows come shooting the shadow that surrounds them. Yeah. And they make it out of there. And then they go and they find Wolfgar.
Yeah. And
this walk into them, this completely destroyed bar.
Yeah, this is the first time we've seen Driz do something like this. So I was surprised because I was like, oh, I guess we haven't seen the limits of his powers yet because we saw him do some runes and stuff. And then like we've seen him, he's good with a sword. Whatever. And if he can do this on top of the runes and stuff, like I don't even know what else he could do. Yeah, he's probably like got way more tricks up his sleeve.
That's a really good point.
Again, this is jumping ahead, but we see him conjure up some flames later on. We'll get to that.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. I didn't think of that that's the first time we've seen him, because we've seen him in some pretty gnarly battles, but that was the first time he like threw up shadows or like distorted.
He's like in the Crystal Shard, he's only done magic once.
What was the magic?
Runes. He did runes to make himself invisible. Yeah. So.
Okay.
So yeah.
So anyway, okay. So then
they get away. They
get away. They have the map. They get away. They go to find the rest of the gang.
I think we better get the hell out of here.
Yeah, it's time for us to go. Which is kind of funny because Wolfgar and Regis are like, we should probably get out of here. So then it's the two sets of two. Like, hey guys, things didn't go as planned. We should get out of here. And they're like, what'd you do? Well, what'd you do?
Yeah. And we're like, we can't even go through the front door, so let's just jump over the wall and get out of here.
Which actually works out perfectly because there were people that wanted to trail them. So good thing they kind of had to sneak off. They didn't go through the gates. So then after that, where are we?
Well, before we... I guess that's the end of the chapter, really. But before we move on, one quick thing that I wrote down. I can't even remember in what context it was mentioned, but apparently Driz mentions that female drow are deadlier than male drow.
I didn't catch that part.
Well, I remember it specifically. I don't remember in what context he mentioned it.
We just before we were recording, we did mention that part, and I told Draco because I flip-flopped from the physical book. Sometimes I listened to the audiobook. Sometimes I had both the book and the audiobook. So at some point, I think I missed that little piece of information. So I hope that means we get to meet a female drow.
Yeah.
And see what happens. Well, we haven't met any other drow. We've only heard stories about them. And
that's actually, when it comes to the animal kingdom, humans are one of the few exceptions where the males are usually stronger. In the animal kingdom, a lot of it is, well, not a lot of it, but quite often it's the opposite. Like with lions, for example. Female lionesses are the ones that do all the hunting.
But they're not physically bigger than the male.
They're not bigger, like but insects. They're faster.
Insects, the females are bigger than the males, but mammals?
Well, I mean, maybe not all mammals,
Women
but I know...
do more work. Don't we know it?
Well, no, but work like hunting. Literally, like they do all the hunting.
Look at bees, insects.
Yeah,
the girls do the work. The females do the work.
Are there any, like? But it's not even like the work. There's the worker bees, which are entirely different. It's not like there's a male bee and the worker bee, and then they're the same. It's just they do the work. The male bees, the ones that give the queen, the queen just sits there pumping out eggs.
Yeah,
it's not like they're a hive mind. They're all doing whatever.
I'm pretty sure the worker bees. I'll Google that too.
There's a second bullet point to Google after we're done.
Bees were...
Let us know in the comments. We've got to drive our engagement.
That's
up with
not
the
what
comment
this is supposed to be about. We should have fully formed opinions before speaking them, you know?
I should have written why female drow were more powerful.
Okay, but they do say that at
They do say that at some point for some reason.
All right, make a little mental note of that for the future. Get your chapsticks.
Right.
Okay.
Chapter 4. The Conjuring. Dun dun dun. Annabelle's about to show up.
Gross. Okay, this one was a little unexpected for me. Did you see this coming at all?
I didn't, because I thought maybe we would have been done. Well, maybe not completed, but we would have been done with that side. The parts that were introduced in Crystal Shard.
Yes. Maybe
not Crinchinaban. I thought maybe Crinchinaban would come up somewhere later, but no, it's still very important.
So, Dendabar. What's his?
Dendabar the Mottled.
Thank you. Dendabar the Mottled. We have heard that name before.
Yeah, so in the Crystal Shard, Dendabar was
beginning of
Crystal Shard. He was one of the group of wizards that that were planning.
So remember the big bad guy in Crystal Shard, Akar Kessel?
Yeah.
Who was an apprentice to a wizard called Mordecai the Red. Yes. Okay. Remember that they were like in their little, traveling band heading to Icewind Dale or somewhere with a couple other wizard buddies, right? They're all buddies. They're all friends. They're all getting along. They're making this trip together, having a good old time. No. So, Dendabar the Mottled, I forgot the other dude's name. Dendabar the Mottled kind of whispers in Akar Kessel's ear and basically manipulates him to kill his teacher, Mordecai the Red. So Dendabar is responsible for, the death of this wizard. He's responsible for the turn of events in Akar Kessel's life because without his mentor, he just gets completely derailed. He actually gets made fun of and given the boot, you're off on your own, which leads him basically to Crinchinaban, which leads him to this all-powerful doofus, which leads him to be like this monster to the people of 10 towns, this absolute slaughterer.
So basically, Dendabar the Mottled is the reason why the whole Crystal Shard book
He's the first domino.
He's basically the
butterfly effect. He's the first one that
it's almost like the bully who was mean to Hitler when he was a kid. Type of thing.
The teacher, the art teacher.
Yeah, art teacher. But,
So, we know Dendabar. We sure do. So, we find Dendabar in Luskin in something called the Host Tower.
The Host Tower.
Which is 5 spirals. There's one central spiral and then 4 towers facing each direction of the compass. North, east, south, west. I think he's the north one. Right.
And he has an apprentice who sounds way better than Akar Kessel. Sydney.
Yes. Okay.
And Sydney, she seems like...
She's mean.
She's mean and she's short-tempered.
Oh, it's just about power.
Yeah.
I mean, they make that clear. She has no other interests besides power. So they're perfect for each other. Mentor-mentee. Okay.
They think Drizzt has Crinchinaban.
Yes, because he was the last one to see Akar Kessel. So fair assumption, not true, but okay. So that's why now they're after Drizzt and the group.
As far as we know, Crinchinaban is still just buried underneath.
I think it does say
Kelvin's cairn.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's confirmed. It's Dendabar thinks Drizzt has Crinchinaban because he's the last one to see it, but little does he know it's buried under hundreds of feet of snow at Cairn's. What's it called?
Kelvin's cairn, something like that.
Something like that.
Right.
So anyway, guess who comes in? This was fun for me because I love when you just have a bunch of characters just come into commingle.
Oh yeah. Have a bit of a posthumous cameo by Mordecai the Red.
Oh, wait. Okay, that too. I'm talking about who comes to report to Dendabar. We know Dendabar. Wow, familiar face.
Right.
Freaking Jirdan comes to report. So he's really just the little spy. Mm-hmm. Or the little, not even a mole. What do you call it when someone just reports to someone?
Just
snitch.
Yeah, snitch.
No, I don't know. That's mean. But
snitch makes it sound like
he's tattling. He's not tattling.
Yeah.
So anyway,
snitches get stitches.
So Jirdan comes to report to Dendabar about the group. He's told to keep an eye on them, but he's not told why. So why Dendabar wants this done. And then he's basically just like sent away, go, little does he know that the group has already kind of escaped the grounds of the city. So we see their little relationship there. Then we see Mordecai the Red come back from the dead, but not really, because he's
speaking with his spirit, almost like a Ouija board type thing.
In Harry Potter when Sirius Black talks through the flames.
Through the flames, yeah, it's kind of like that, and he's obviously quite salty. He comes up, is like,
Oh, he knows.
You want my help.
Yeah, Akbar Kessel didn't think of this himself. I
Yeah.
know who made him do it, who put the dagger in his hand.
Yeah.
So Mordecai the Red does not feel in any way familiar towards, or,
He doesn't want to help, but apparently he doesn't really have a choice. He's composed because, he's dead.
Dendabar
so it's
summons him, so he has power over him, and his, he's like on another plane, his spirit's on another plane, something like that. So
see that's the thing about fantasy and science fiction. No one actually really dies. There's always something that can be done.
That's nice.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but then
sing, puppet, sing.
Yeah, but also it's like, okay, if no one dies, then no one's dead. That's also kind of a bad thing.
Well, that's why too. I think Dendabar mentions he doesn't want to push Mordecai too far, because when he sees him, when it's his turn to see Mordecai on that plane, he doesn't want basically too much hostility. Right. But Mordecai is pretty hostile from the beginning, and you need so much power to keep this connection going when you're summoning, a spirit or whatever. So anyway, we see Mordecai come back. That's nice. And Dendabar sends him off to find some information regarding the group. He basically wants to know if Quinshinaban is in the group's possession, but he doesn't want to say so because he doesn't want to give Mordecai any ideas for himself. So he just has him kind of go dig around to what is the group's purpose? What are they doing in Luskin? And Mordecai is really just not helpful.
Yeah, I mean,
he says, I think in the end that they are in search of the dwarfs' birthplace or something like that, but that's it. Nothing more about Quinshinaban or news or anything. Right,
and then, after that we do see Catti-brie leaving 10 Towns, setting out to find the companions and warn them.
She's on a trade caravan.
Right.
Yeah.
Warn them about Artemis.
Mm-hmm. So I think that's really it pulls at your heartstrings. She wants to go warn them because, again, he's a top assassin. She's seen his handiwork, so she's off. I think it's just a bunch of dwarves, if I remember correctly, too. So they're off on a caravan, off to find the group. So, okay.
After that, we join up with the gang again, and they've entered the crags.
Okay.
Which is, it sounded sort of like a half forest, half jungle type thing, where it's sort of like a mossy, overgrown forest, not some sort of clean sequoia forest, but
That's not what I pictured at all.
No?
I pictured rock hills and I don't even know what to compare it to. I just pictured rocky hills where you have to everything is ready to fall at any moment. Definitely trees and forest in there, but I didn't.
Maybe there was a description
I
and I just missed
rocks but you know what? It's because when they get there, there's a battle and happens in the rocks. I think that just mental image stuck in my brain. So, first, who do they face?
Well, they're worried about two threats: barbarians and orcs.
They had some warning, like going into the crag. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, crags.
They had a little warning from Regis, who's traveled in the area before. He goes, "You're gonna see orcs and some type of barbarian.
Uthgard barbarians.
Uthgard.
Which is
one of their gods is named Uthgar.
Right, and they're not as fair skinned as
they have raven black hair.
Yeah, they have black hair, as opposed to the blondes of the.
Yeah, the northern barbarians are basically all blonde, so that's kind of interesting to see. Mm-hmm. Still barbarians, still formidable. Oh,
they're watching them.
Wait, what does Regis do with his little?
Oh yeah, so he he swindles a bunch of horses and ponies from these like random farmers.
And they're happy. Oh, please have dinner with us. Take our horses and our ponies. Oh, won't you help yourself to seconds? Won't you help yourself to thirds?
He stayed there for dinner.
Won't you help yourself to fourths? Oh, no, fourths would be too much. I gotta go back to my friends.
See, it reminded me a lot. We're Greek, so we're gonna keep mentioning this, but it reminded me a lot of, when you meet some Greek person and then you don't know how you ended up in their house eating. Oh yeah, eating all the
hearing
the
their life story, telling your life story.
Yeah, and you're like, I just asked for directions. Like, why am I here all of a sudden? But then so
come.
Yeah, Katze, come on, sit down.
You must be thirsty. You must be hungry. Eat. Look, my mother, she made this, yesterday. Yeah. So please,
we
have too much. No. Yeah. Your plate's
You're skinny. Come on, you should eat more. Come on. But yes, so Regis ends up leaving with some horses and a full stomach, and everyone's like, "What took you so long?"
And then
This took me so long. Like, but you didn't mind sitting down for dinner, but whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, they get the horses. They're riding through the crags, and they come across some orcs. They're being watched by barbarians, but they fight the orcs first.
Right. They know that they're being watched and followed. They don't know by what. Then the orcs come. So I thought that was it. Oh yeah, they're being watched and followed. Here come the orcs. Big battle. They're totally outnumbered. It's 4 of them, and it was like 40 orcs or something like that.
Yeah, and I got a little confused because I'm used to, like, in the Lord of the Rings universe where goblins and orcs are the same thing technically. But here, I don't think that's the case. Mm-mm. Because if these were actually goblins
are smaller.
Goblins are smaller and they're weaker and they're not that smart. It wouldn't have been a problem. Like, Driz could probably kill 10.
What's the name of the creatures in Lord of the Rings? The dead elves that get turned into stuff?
Oh, Uruk-hai?
Yes. So that's what I picture them.
So it's more like...
There's goblins, like the ones that are messing with Frodo with his armor. Remember in the second movie? And then there's like the little one with the pointy ears, and then there's
little pointy ears and small goblins.
Those are goblins. And then I picture orcs like the Uruk-hai.
Yeah. Dun-dun-dun. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that's how I picture them, like size-wise, strength-wise. Goblins are much smaller.
Right.
Okay, so we've got orcs. They're outnumbered. They're kicking butt. Regis is kind of hiding under a tree. Yeah. Like a root, So Regis is hiding. Wolfgar, he's got Aegis Fang, and he's just knocking them down. Brunor too.
They're doing a good job, but it's just not. There's just
too many of
outnumbered.
Them. And they've got their backs against like the rocks. So Dritz is kind of up in the hill, so he could be using his bow to get, whatever he can see. We've got Regis, Brunor, and Wolfgar down at the bottom. They're outnumbered. The orcs end up like releasing the horses that they had tied to the tree. Like they tied them to the tree to get ready for the incoming orcs. They freaking like basically start a small stampede with 2 horses, 2 ponies. Brunor gets stomped on the head by a pony and he gets knocked out. Regis, he tries to come to like his defense because, you know, Brunor's down. Orc is coming. He just tries to come to his defense. But of course, you know, he can't really hold his own. So he gets knocked down and hurt. Wolfgar does his best. Drizzt is doing his best. It is not looking good. And then, la 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 la, like barbarian.
Yeah, it's
dark-haired barbarian.
And like there's literally a chapter in The Hobbit called "Out of the Frying Pan and Into the Fire." So it's like, okay, the orcs are gone, but now there's a whole tribe of barbarians.
Yeah.
And they, you know,
they tie everybody.
They tie him up. Oh, but not Drizzt. Drizzt gets away.
Yeah, Drizzt
he doesn't get noticed.
Yeah, he slips away.
And so he sort of follows the group, and
they recognize. So now, you know, the barbarians tie the three up. They recognize that Wolfgar is a barbarian. They know they're a little bit more educated of the other peoples, you know, in the land. So they know about the northern barbarians, and they make him do. It's the shaman, so the tribe of the ponies, air ponies, sky ponies.
Yeah, sky ponies.
They have a shaman, which we haven't seen in the barbarian tribes before, but they have a shaman named
Valeric High Eye.
Thank you.
And
Valeric.
Yeah, and I remember someone was like, "Who the hell is this guy?" And Wolfgar's like, "Shaman." Like, somebody guessed, like, is that like the leader or something? And Wolfgar's like, no, it's even worse. He's the shaman.
Yeah, because they mention in brief passing like the son of the leader, but he's nowhere to be found. The person that is running the show is this shaman in this tribe.
Yeah.
And he's weird.
The way he described him, right, is like he's tall and skinny and has like a long beard. I kind of pictured him as
Rasputin.
No, I kind of pictured him as who's the guy in Kill Bill with the long beard that keeps like stroking it?
Oh,
Pai Mei.
Thank you.
Yeah, kind of pictured him or the Emperor from Mulan. Just sort of a long, wispy, thin beard.
Oh, I didn't think of it like that.
Anyway.
There's a name for that beard too, where it has the two little skinny mustaches.
The sort of Genghis Khan.
I was picturing more Rasputin.
Okay. Well, it's, you know, kind
tall,
of
skinny, scraggly.
Tall, skinny, yeah. Well, Rasputin,
funny looking shaman
in Anastasia the movie, not the actual Rasputin.
Both. He's pretty close.
Not really. I'm pretty sure the actual
Rasputin.
Whatever. We'll get to that. That's a whole different story. Rasputin has a Anyway, but yeah. So
he's
the shaman,
definitely worse looking in the movie. I think that's what you mean. Like the cartoon, he's drawn like foul.
Yeah. Well, apparently the real life Rasputin was actually kind of a playboy.
Oh, he was a ladies' man.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway.
Yeah.
Whatever. This is not a history lesson. Okay.
Yeah.
It's not a science lesson, a biology lesson about bees. You know, we're gonna. Okay.
This is a tutorial about how to get into a club.
About our trips to Greece. You know. And we don't really know anything, so what are we doing talking about stuff?
We should stick to what we have to know. We don't even know about this.
We don't even know about this. We just, I don't know. It was an idea of like, hey, you want to read these books? Yeah. You want to talk about them in front of a camera? Sure. Why not?
At this point is a great time to remind you guys to hit that subscribe button and make sure you hit the bell to get notified. Make sure to leave a like too. Right. So the shaman is like, who are you guys?
Thank you. Okay. So not the rah Rasputin, the cartoon Rasputin. Okay, this guy, and he basically has Wolfgar do a face-off with Torlin, if I remember that correctly.
The guy who came to
the son of the leader, whatever. He is almost as big as Wolfgar, and so they have this like weird wrestling fight, right? For like it's like arm wrestling, but standing with both arms, and they're like pushing each other and like going back and whatever.
Almost like sumo wrestling, right? It's like trying to push each other, trying to shove each other.
But you can't move your feet.
Right, but it's like it wasn't like literally just
it was just
boxing.
Like if you grab hands and you're trying to like push each other. Yeah, I guess, right? Yeah, it's like sumo wrestling, like you're just trying to
push each other out the circle.
Yeah, outpower someone. Wolfgar wins because obviously he's like one of the main characters. So, and then the shaman mentions that no one's ever bested Torlin at this. Please join our tribe. But in order to do so, we'll have to kill the halfling. Yeah, we'll let the dwarf go because he's of no use to us. But the halfling is weak, and anything weak should not live.
Yeah.
We only respect strength, whatever. So it's like a test of Wolfgar's loyalty. If he wants to be in the tribe, he's going to have to sacrifice one of his buddies. Wolfgar says no.
No, he's like, what do you mean no? But then, Wolfgar, like, I think he kind of senses that Drizzt is around the corner. Like, he just kind of knows.
He knows, like, there's 4 of us, only 3 of us are bound. Like, Drizzt is going to make a move to come and save us.
So he's stalling.
He's waiting.
And he's right, because Drizzt is around the corner he found the horses and the ponies.
All the horses and all the ponies. And isn't Drizzt, the way I pictured it, it said that he tied, so there's 2 horses, 2 ponies. So he ties the ponies behind the horses. So the horses are leading, and he's got 1 foot in each stirrup on each horse.
Yeah, okay, so that was right. Like, I was picturing it, but I'm like, no, that can't be right.
In, and I was like, what is happening?
Riding, like, sort of on each, like, as if I had 1 foot on this chair, on 1 foot on that chair.
Yeah, not doing the splits yet, but I'm picturing just him just getting ready for the horses to kind of separate and then Drizzt.
Yeah, can you imagine if the horses just went there and he was like, whoa.
I was like, what is happening? Okay, so, having a good old time, right? Coming in to save the day. Bruno and Regis have already come to, while Wolfgar was, wrist wrestling Torlin. Yeah. And so they're up and at him. They're ready. So, Drizzt comes rides
into camp.
And freaking as a distraction.
Yeah, he sets
Torlin and
Valric on fire, but not real fire.
It's like a lavender heatless flame.
Flame that...
so it sets their skin on fire, but they feel no heat.
They feel no heat, but he's hoping that, like, in the few seconds they think they're on fire, will be enough for them to
goes exactly as he planned. Valric drops and rolls,
Yeah.
Torlin is just freaking out. Basically, he's like described as like holding his arm. Yeah, something.
He's like, wait a minute, this doesn't hurt.
So wonderful plan works. Exactly.
And there's more magic by Drizzt.
Yes, again.
That's another thing. Like, we have no idea what he actually can do by this point. Like, he could.
I hope we get to learn more about the elves. That'd be fun.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen a bit about the dwarves,
but we're gonna learn more about the elves. I'm assuming in the prequel trilogy, in the Drought trilogy. What's it called? Dark Elf trilogy.
He gets his own. Okay.
Yeah. So
anyway, now everybody gets a horse and a pony. The gang is going. They're off. They're taking off. So they're expecting the barbarians to kind of like chase after them because obviously this is their land. They know the terrain. It's a really rough terrain, so it's not like they're going to be able to move quickly. They're fully expecting to be like tailed. It doesn't really go as like what they thought. What ends up happening is Valric freaking calls the spirit of a Pegasus, which to me, I was like, are you kidding me? Like, now we're introducing mythology. We've got fantasy, now we're having mythology. Yeah. So we've got a Pegasus.
It's their the spirit animal of the tribe. Just as...
Oh, the sky pony.
Yeah, just like how Wolfgar is the tribe of the elk. And so the sky pony is
I didn't make that connection. I just thought like horses in the clouds, but I didn't think Pegasus.
Right.
Okay, so it's Pegasus. It's a spirit of the Pegasus. However, instead of just calling the spirit of Pegasus, what he does is he turns Torlin into a Pegasus.
And he's just like, he's willing.
And it sounds terrible.
Yeah.
He
looks like he's
really
writhing
sad
in pain.
And really painful because it's like a full transformation. And we're told that like a full transformation is not what usually happens when they call the spirit of like.
Oh yeah,
this
it was
animal.
Meant to be a temporary half thing, but he just went all the way.
Yeah, and it just sounded awful to me. So anyway, now, the gang has got, it's like, because it's like that spirit animal, it's like a shadow animal, shadow Pegasus, but Torlin.
It can pop between realms at will.
And so,
it chases after them.
Yeah. Basically, they're being attacked by shadow Pegasus, and they're trying to attack it. They're swinging the hammer. They're throwing the axe. It's a shadow. It's like basically smoke, so everything just goes right through it without harming it.
Every time the hammer goes in, it kind of disappears into a cloud of smoke, and as soon as it's gone through, it reappears again and starts. Yeah. So they can't really even land a hit. And it just
reforms, it'll come apart, and Pegasus reforms.
Yeah, and it's teleporting, and it's
Dritz has a brilliant idea because, yes, we see the shadow animal. However, the shadow animal is based somewhere else, like as a fully formed animal.
Right. So it's not like it's just moving between planes. It's not like literally disappearing or teleporting. It's just in between planes.
The same way we saw Morkai in our plane as like the flame, the figure of flame, but in his plane, in his realm, Morkai still like exists as a spirit, but as a like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a physical. What's it called when you can like touch something? Not intangible, tangible.
Tangible.
Thank you. Like a tangible spirit. And so this Pegasus is described as like intangible. He's a smoke form here on our plane, but in the plane where he comes from, it's going to be a tangible thing, a tangible animal. So Dritz has a brilliant idea. We're going to call Guinevere to come and help us.
Who is from another plane.
So basically, go ahead.
I'll ride with Guinevere back to her plane.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, whatever. We're not constrained by D&D rules. We can call her by her pronoun. Got stuck there for a second.
That's exactly right. Okay. Yeah. So Guinevere.
Drizzt is now with Guinevere in
her plane,
the shadow realm or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so now they're attacking the Pegasus from both.
2 freaking realms.
Yeah. And so it's
and it was like, I don't even know how to describe. Is there like a movie where that happens, where it's like 2 people are like punching from opposite ends?
I feel like there is.
Way, and then it goes this way.
It goes into the other realm, and it's like, so that's exactly what I was picturing too.
Through realms. So we've got, so basically like Wolfgar sees that Dritz disappears, and Brunor says like, continue to like attack it, like distract it, don't let it fully form in its smoke. Yeah. And so they're still like attacking the smoke figure, and they're waiting for Dritz to make his move. So Dritz finds the Pegasus in the plane and basically like attacks it there, and then to escape Dritz, it goes to the other plane, the surface plane, and forms, and then gets whacked by Wolfgar, and then to escape Wolfgar,
it goes
back to the shadow plane, and then gets whacked and hit and cut and everything.
And this other plane, by the way, it's described as, it's strange because it's almost like
everything's like in black and white.
Black and white, but sort of like, grainy. I almost pictured it like kind of like Sin City, where everything else is black and white, but the characters are in color. Oh. And almost like, everything is black and white, but Drizz's eyes are still the lavender, and then the Pegasus is the white.
I was picturing Pleasantville.
Yeah.
Where it's like black and white.
We've said this before. We've
this. We've made this comparison.
Yeah. But I don't know in what context we were.
That was for Crystal Shard.
I can't remember what we were talking about. But anyway, so they end up taking down the Pegasus. Okay. And as they do it, does it turn back into...
Yes, it turns into... So they basically injure it so badly, it's, back on the surface plane, and it's Torlin, but not really. It's like Torlin being half of a horse, but also like not in a pretty way, like in a completely mangled way. And it angers Wolfgar so much just to see the torture of this change, So Wolfgar swears, so he ends like Torlin's life, but he swears revenge on Valric for what he did to Torlin.
Puts Torlin out of his misery.
Mm-hmm.
But then he's also like, they, on the other hand, are also not going to forgive that. So we're going to be hunted by...
Oh, it was atrocious. So Wolfgar swears revenge, and he kind of like yells out like, this is what like Valric did. This is the doing of Valric, you know? So maybe one day we'll get to see the Southern barbarians and then like have them kind of be like having a change in leadership or, you know, shaming Valric or getting rid of him or something. So I'm curious.
This is the Crystal Shard all over again. Wolfgar's going to have to convince them to be like, are you, you know, just like he did with Heaves.
This guy, you want this guy to lead you? Yeah, no. So
why don't we make some mixed babies here? Some blonde, black-haired sort of...
Oh, well, they wanted him to stay in the tribe to mix up the genetics a little bit over there. So... Okay, so anyway, so that's poor Torlin's fate. Okay, but then that's it. The barbarians don't go after them anymore. Nothing. They're off. What we end up seeing, if I remember correctly now, and we're getting closer to the end of part 1, is Catti and her caravan. They're having a nice little campfire. They're making their stop for the night. And, you know, we also see Artemis as kind of stopped for the night, but he just has this, like... inkling. He just has this like small feeling, this little itch in the back of his brain that like he's
Spidey sense.
Yeah, that he's being followed. So he actually like sets a false camp and backtracks, and he finds the dwarven caravan. He
makes sure to leave traces of himself behind, because he made sure to not make it too obvious, so that they don't know it's a trap.
Yes. Again, he's pretty smart. He's terrifying. So, Akus, no. No, he's gonna bark. Akus is my boy. Akus is here, by the way. He has a... It's okay. And so he has the false camp. He goes back. He finds Catti and the dwarves. He's gonna huff and puff until I let him out.
Yeah. He's really upset about that Pegasus thing.
Aren't we all? Okay. Yeah. Akus, you say your piece, okay? He's like the little wolf in the Three Little Pigs.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of the lion in the Wizard of Oz when he's singing like with a and a royal growl.
That was a good one. Good job.
Yeah.
Okay. So, anyway, okay, so...
I'm sorry.
So, where were we?
Artemis
finds a caravan.
So
once again, meets Catti.
Right. There's, I can't remember who is with her, but...
It's just people.
It's just people. As Catti's talking to her, talking to him, some dude... Artemis just drops up and just like, you know, it's like she's talking to him, and then all of a sudden he's like, and there's like a knife like, in his throat.
She's like confused.
Yeah, it's like, are you okay? Like, nope, there's a knife up my throat.
Yeah. Oh, so then, and that's the part that we're talking about where, like he kills the people that are closest to her, so that, you know, no one makes a call out for help. And so...
takes her knife.
Yes. He takes out his knife.
Replaces the wound with hers.
And tells her, like, don't say anything because, like, if you call and they come and find him with your sword in his neck or whatever, in his throat, like, they will blame you. And he... admits, like in his perspective, he admits that this is just like a psychological trick, that he fully like doesn't believe that they'll think that that's what happened, but it gets to her in her mind just because in the complete, you know, chaos,
it's more for her. It's
and the
not,
panic. She's just like, oh, you know, like you can't even think at that moment. So I mean, she just kind of goes along with everything. So. He kidnaps her, and he kind of goes back. Is this where he goes back to his camp? And then someone's sniffing around over there. Remember?
I can't specifically remember, but he ties her up and puts her on a horse.
Yes, she's fully kidnapped. And he can kind of, again, he's very like spidey sense capable. He can sense that someone has been like snooping around his camp. And so he goes around and he finds Jordan was, going through his little pack. And so they almost like basically come to blows until Jordan says like, my master wishes to talk to you. So now Artemis is like, well, who's your master? And who's his master? We know it's Dendabar. Okay. So, so then anyway, so Jordan says, come meet my master. He's going to be of help to you, whatever. They know a little bit about what Artemis is doing, which should be impossible because he's so secretive. He's so careful with his tracks and his, motives. So he's very curious to meet this Dendabar. So he goes with Jordan to Luskan. And what happens in Luskan?
Well, so they meet up, Artemis and Dendabar and what's her name? Sydney?
Yeah.
And so they're like, yeah, so we know you're looking for them. We're looking for them too.
Mm-hmm. We'll be of use to each other.
Yeah.
Let's team up.
Well, it's like, that's the thing. It's not even like a team up.
No. Dendabar's not that gracious.
Well, Dendabar gives him information. Hey, they were headed in that direction. Mm-hmm. And then when Artemis is like, okay, so what do you want in return for that information? He's like, nothing. I just want you to find them just as much as you do. Mm-hmm.
So Dendabar wants the group because he thinks Shinabon is in their position. Artemis wants to find the group because of the ruby pendant, and Pasha Puk, sent him out to do this to find Regis. Artemis has the ability to find them because they're on the run, and I think Dendabar
can sniff him out like a dog.
Yeah, he's very powerful, but he needs Artemis to be the tracker. You know?
He's the actual like bloodhound, the one who can
can
sniff them out, and he's got Canterbury to use as leverage because he knows that
Artemis has Canterbury to use as leverage.
He has Canterbury to use as leverage because he knows that Regis is going to be protected by Wolfgar and Brunar and Driz. So even though like he might be outmatched, he can sort of use her as like a I think he just intends I think he fully intends to trade Regis for Canterbury. I don't remember if he says that, but that was what hostage type of negotiation.
And it's kind of, I mean, we're not left with much because that's basically the end of part 1, where he meets Dendabar, then they make their little talk, and he's off. That's it.
And it's not necessarily much of a
just
cliffhanger.
Kind
it just
of like,
kind of it just ends. But like I said before, I'm just seeing this maybe the whole Canterbury on a horse like tied up maybe just reminded me too much of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, but I'm still kind of like, I don't know, maybe I just like love triangles.
I would be so surprised. He doesn't seem like a morally gray character. He seems like a fully bad guy, a full bad guy.
Yeah, but I'm
Hans
not even
Hans in Die Hard. Like, you're not going to say like, oh, Hans.
No, but I'm not. That's not like. I'm not assuming that he's gonna turn any better. I'm just assuming that maybe Canterbury's gonna be a little weak.
Attracted to it.
Just a little bit like, you're so bad, but damn,
He's not even doing anything.
Them thighs,
Yeah.
Well, there is legitimately a like a psychological condition that mostly women get that
Stockholm syndrome?
No, we're these women that kind of fall in love with these serial killers and psychopaths.
I've heard, I don't know about the syndrome, but I've heard of how many letters these people get. Apparently, that's a thing.
Yeah, and I don't like Canterbury is not
but he wouldn't do that to me. It's like,
But remember the woman who was engaged to Charles Manson. and they were legitimately engaged while he was still in prison, and a few weeks before the wedding, he called off the wedding.
He calls off the wedding?
He called off the wedding
because he's got so many options?
No, it was something like... I can't remember what the reason was.
He wasn't attracted to her for being attracted to him?
No, it was almost like... It was almost like she was like, let's make our union, true in the face of God. And she was like, whoa, what do you mean? I'm God. Something like that. It was something to do with like God, like, I'm better than him. Like, and you're not good anymore.
Me? Yeah. Oh, I haven't heard that story, but that sounds terrible.
But it's like different from Stockholm Syndrome. It's like, it's to where it's like these women's like get infatuated or something with the whole... But I don't think, to make it clear, I don't think that's what's happening to Canterbury. I just think that
No, but I'm curious to know what that is, like, psychologically, if that's a thing.
It's definitely a thing.
Like, oh, he's capable, not even probably women, but probably more women. Like, he can protect me. Like, he's so bad.
Maybe it just the whole like...
I don't know. I really can't put myself in those shoes, and I'm gonna stop trying because I don't get it.
Yeah.
But
if you start empathizing with him too much, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, and also too, I'm thinking like, okay, from this guy Artemis, it's not like, okay, like if you read a little romance novel and he's like a bad guy, but like, what did he do that's really so bad? Like he killed somebody that was about to kill her. Oh, is he really that bad? When he was only doing it like, no, this guy's just like fully killing people. You know what I mean? He's not like, but it's a morally questionable bad action.
Yeah, but the skill. You know what I mean? Like, she literally described him a bit as graceful and handsome, and he's just like, he's a... Sorry, there's a fly behind you, so I'm getting distracted, but
I'm thinking like, at least like in the romance novels, they always give you something that is like, that will redeem them, or that makes the bad action, if we all agree on what's good and bad, the bad action that they do, it makes it questionable, right? It just rides that line. So you kind of have this little like, oh, but flip-flop, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess
this guy, all I heard her say was that he has a chiseled jaw. I don't see anything in his actions that could even make it justified.
But, well, okay, fair enough. But I mean, okay, this was written in the 80s.
But he's got these sparkly eyes.
Well, okay. So
and
think
he puts beard oil, what are you talking about?
No, but like think of like the early James Bond movies, right? Like Sean Connery literally slaps around a couple of the women and like smacks them in the ass, but then he still gets them. You know what I mean? So I don't know. This is just me like spitballing some ideas. I haven't seen those movies
since I was a kid, so I'm trying to think. But it's Bond, right?
Yeah, but so again, he gets away with it.
But he's also redeemable because he's saving the world. What is it if he just smacks you around a little bit, Even then, I think it's like,
Well, but I mean, okay, think about it like this. What if at some point he's like,
but he's still
you're calling
a good guy.
You're calling me a murderer? Think of all your friends. How many people have they killed? How have they justified all their deaths? Okay, it's all perspective.
Who's a real villain in a movie? Because James Bond is still like a hero. He's still portrayed to be a hero. He's doing it for the greater good. Like, who's a real... I was thinking Hans from Die Hard. Or who's a true villain?
Well, but again, if Hans from Die Hard looked like...
But he did it for his brother or something like that.
Yeah, like if he wasn't Alan Rickman and it was actually, someone who was...
I love Alan Rickman.
Yeah, but, he's not a sex symbol. If Hans
Voldemort.
Gruber was...
Fine, how about that? The ultimate bad guy. But he still had what's-her-face.
Yeah, but Voldemort,
But no, he still had what's-her-face?
Bellatrix? She was married to someone else. Well, But she was crazier than him.
Well, what I'm saying is like, I'm trying to find an example, like in a book or a story or something, where it's like, who's the ultimate bad guy that I can compare this person to? Not James Bond, Voldemort, but he's not. Whatever. What's the rat guy? What's the rat guy from Harry Potter?
Wormtail.
Yeah.
But he's also like, it's not.
But
comfortable,
he's not
though.
handsome.
He's not handsome. He literally looks like a rat. Like it's got to be someone like, you know. I don't know. Like.
Okay.
Well, before you find out Sirius Black is the good guy. You know, when he's got the long hair.
You know what? Gary Oldman could do anything,
you know
and
what
I'd
I mean?
still be
like when
fan.
he's like when you
That's
see
true.
him in the thing when he's behind bars and he's like with like all the rugged.
No,
like,
you're right. I still
know
felt.
what I mean?
I still felt for. It's Gary Oldman.
Yeah.
I said,
yeah.
oh, but no, you know.
Yeah. But.
Anyway, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see, because now we're going to see if you're right about that. And I will be knocked off my chair in surprise if something like that
I'm not
happens.
like going to put money on it.
Canterbury and Wolfgar.
Yeah, but they're the right ones. They're the see Artemis is
It'd be too easy.
Yeah, it was kind of like whenever there's a love triangle, there's always the two that are meant to be together, and then the one that's kind of getting in between them. You know?
Okay. Yeah,
I'm just saying.
I know. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I just. R.A. Salvatore, is this where this is going? Because, oh boy. Okay.
Well, I like the book so far.
By book 2, not book 2, by part 2, I will have another opinion about how this is going to go. If it hasn't already happened, by book 2, we're going to see who Artemis, hopefully, more about who Artemis is, what's the story. Are we going to like him after all? Because right now I don't.
Yeah, I mean, I love him as a character, and as a villain, I enjoy him.
Yes, as a villain. That's
showing up on the page way more than Akar Kessel. When I'm reading the Crystal
Shard.
Shard,
Akar Kessel would just make me angry.
Yeah, when he shows up, I'm like, this guy again. You know, what kind of dumb crap is he gonna do now?
Yeah.
Now with this, I'm just like, oh crap, it's him now. Mm-hmm. What's he gonna do now?
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. That's part one.
Part 1.
I'll see you guys in part 2. We're getting through this a lot faster, even if this particular podcast is a bit longer. I can't tell how long we've been.
We have a lot to talk about because we're going by parts instead of by every couple of chapters.
Yeah.
So the episodes might be longer, but there should be less per book.
Yeah. And
that means we can actually read more books.
Yeah. We might there might be a bit of a gap because the two of us are planning a trip soon.
We're gonna go see family.
About the 6th time we've mentioned Greece so far, but we're headed to Greece. Hopefully, on the plane we can knock out a bunch of the reading. But I don't see us doing any.
Wouldn't it be crazy if we bring the books with us?
Well, I'd be bringing the books definitely, but like I don't know.
Well, this is a library book, so I'll have to get a copy.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, then we'll just do a normal background.
Yeah, but then like the microphone and the laptops and all that stuff like that. We'll see. Yeah.
We'll play it by ear.
Yeah. So it might be the actual like schedule of posting might be altered a bit, but hopefully because we're giving you a lot more per episode, it won't matter as much.
Yeah.
So
what he said.
Yeah. That's that. I think that pretty much wraps it up.
Yeah. Streams of Silver.
Yay.
Okay. Alrighty.
All right.
See you
Bye-bye.
next time.